The massive doors of the Galactic Council's central chamber swung shut with a deep, echoing boom. Ambassador Marcus Reed's footsteps rang through the empty hallway as he walked away, his back straight and his face set in grim determination. Behind those doors, he could hear the rising voices of confused and angry alien representatives. "That's the 5th time this month," he muttered to himself, checking his simple black wristwatch. Earth-made, of course. He refused to wear the standard council timepiece like most other representatives. Inside the chamber, chaos erupted. Lord Grey, the being of pure energy who served as the council's high speaker, flickered in agitation. His form, usually a calm blue glow, now pulsed with angry red streaks. "How?" he demanded, his voice resonating through the chamber. "How can they reject the Mutual Defense Limitation Treaty? Every species signs it. Every single one." Council Member Stone, his crystalline body reflecting the chamber's lights, stepped forward. "Perhaps we didn't offer enough concessions." Enough concessions. Lord Grey's energy form expanded in frustration. "We offered them 3 solar systems for colonization. We offered them access to Class 2 hyperspace lanes. We even offered them seats on the Defense Committee." The chamber, with its towering walls of ancient marble-like stone and floating platforms for each representative, had witnessed 10,000 years of galactic politics. But never had it seen anything like the humans. In his private office several levels below, Ambassador Reed sat down at his desk and pressed a button on his computer. The face of Admiral James Wilson appeared on the screen. "How'd they take it?" the Admiral asked, though his slight smile suggested he already knew the answer. "About as well as a meteor shower on a parade," Reed replied, loosening his tie. "They really thought this time would be different. Offered us everything short of their firstborn children." The Admiral's face grew serious. "They still don't understand, do they?" "No," Reed sighed, pulling up the treaty text on a second screen. "They can't comprehend why we won't agree to limit our fleet to only 5,000 ships, or why we insist on maintaining our own independent defense grid instead of relying on their network." Back in the council chamber, a holographic display showed Earth's rapidly expanding defense capabilities. The smaller species huddled together, whispering in their native tongues as they watched the simulation of human military growth over the past decade. "Their production rate is unprecedented," noted Representative Water, her liquid form rippling with concern. "At this pace, they'll have the largest fleet in the galaxy within 20 years. Lord Grey's glow dimmed slightly. "And they show no signs of slowing down. Every attempt at diplomatic restriction has failed. They're building fortress stations in asteroid fields where our sensors can barely detect them. Their ships are crude by our standards, but—" he paused, his energy form condensing, "but they're incredibly effective." "Perhaps," suggested Council Member Stone, "we should consider more direct measures." The chamber fell silent. In 10 millennia, the Council had only taken direct measures 3 times. Each instance had ended with the target species submitting to Council authority. But something told them humans would be different. In his office, Reed was explaining humanity's position to a junior diplomat from his staff. "Look," he said, pointing to an old photograph on his wall. It showed Earth's first contact with alien life, the burning ruins of New Delhi after the attack. "We learned the hard way that the galaxy isn't safe. The Council thinks 10,000 years of enforced peace means eternal stability. But we know better." He stood up and walked to his window, looking out at the massive space station that housed the Galactic Council. "Humans survived 3 extinction-level events before we even reached space. We endured world wars, plagues, climate disasters, and our first hostile alien contact. Each time, we survived because we were prepared and able to defend ourselves." The junior diplomat nodded slowly. "And they want us to give up that ability." "Exactly," Reed said, turning back to his desk. "They want us to rely on their protection, their systems, their rules. But humanity remembers. The only true safety is in strength." His computer beeped. Another meeting request from the Council. Reed smiled grimly. They still didn't get it. Humanity hadn't survived this long by trusting others with their security, and they weren't about to start now. Admiral James Wilson stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship, defiant, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched Earth grow smaller in the main viewport. At 70 years old, he was one of the few military leaders who remembered the day everything changed. The day humanity learned they weren't alone in the universe. "Status report," he called out, his voice carrying the weight of decades of command. "All systems normal." "Admiral," replied Lieutenant Tom Baker from his station. "The new shield modifications are holding steady at 125% of projected capacity." Wilson nodded, a small smile crossing his face. Another impossible improvement that would drive the Council representatives crazy. They never understood how humans kept pushing past the supposed limits of technology. The Defiant was humanity's newest achievement, a warship that broke half a dozen Council engineering guidelines. Its hull was too thick, its weapons too powerful, its engines modified beyond approved specifications. The Council called it wasteful. Humans called it survival. "Admiral," called out Communications Officer Mary Roberts, "we're receiving a priority message from Ambassador Reed." Wilson turned from the viewport. "Put it through to my ready room." Inside his private office, Wilson activated the secure channel. Reed's hologram appeared, looking tired but satisfied. "I take it the Council didn't appreciate our latest rejection?" Wilson asked, pouring himself a cup of coffee. Real coffee, not the synthetic stuff the Council preferred. "They're beside themselves," Reed replied. "Lord Grey actually started glowing red. But they need to understand, Jim. We can't sign their treaties. Not after what happened to my brother." Wilson's face darkened at the memory. He had been a young captain then, commanding a small patrol ship when the first attack came. Reed's brother had been stationed in New Delhi when the hostile aliens struck. The Council, with all their treaties and defense networks, had been too slow to respond. Too bureaucratic. Too careful. "Computer," Wilson called out, "display historical file ND-2147. The wall screen lit up with footage from that day. The burning buildings. The ships that appeared without warning. The defense systems that proved inadequate. 3,000 dead in the first hour," Wilson said quietly. "All because we trusted in others to help protect us. Never again." A knock at his door interrupted them. "Enter," Wilson called. His chief engineer, Robert Miller, walked in carrying a tablet. "Admiral, you need to see this. We've finished analyzing those Council defense protocols they wanted us to adopt." Wilson gestured for him to continue. "Sir, they're full of holes," Miller explained, bringing up detailed schematics. "Their standardized defense grid. It has a 3-second lag between threat detection and response. Their approved weapon systems, limited to 60% power to maintain stability. Their shield configurations, designed for gradual power buildup instead of instant response. Because they've never needed anything better," Reed's hologram added. "They've had 10,000 years of regulated peace. They've forgotten what it means to fight for survival." Wilson walked back to his viewport, watching as the Defiant passed the Mars defense perimeter. New satellites and defense platforms hung in orbit around the red planet, each one stronger than Council regulations allowed. "Show me the latest fleet production numbers," he ordered. Miller brought up the figures. Humanity was building ships and defense stations at a rate that horrified the Council. But every human knew why it was necessary. They had learned their history well. From the world wars to the climate crisis, from the biological plagues to the first contact attack. "Send word to all fleet commanders," Wilson said firmly. "Training exercises will continue as planned. And send this message to Ambassador Reed for the Council. Humanity respectfully declines to participate in the proposed defense limitations." As the Defiant moved past the asteroid belt, Wilson watched a new defense platform coming online. Its weapons were already charged, another violation of Council protocols. But that was the difference between humanity and the Council. They prepared for peace. Humanity prepared for everything. "Plot a course for the outer system patrol route," Wilson ordered, returning to the bridge. "Let's show the galaxy what real readiness looks like." The inner chamber of the Galactic Council was a perfect circle, built 10,000 years ago to represent the unity of spacefaring species. Today, that unity was breaking apart. Impossible. Lord Grey's energy form pulsed with bright flashes of agitation. "Our sensors must be malfunctioning. No species can build defense platforms that quickly." Council member Stone moved his crystalline body toward the central hologram display. It showed the human solar system, lit up with hundreds of new defense installations that hadn't been there a month ago. "The sensors are working perfectly," Stone said, his voice grinding like rocks. "The humans are simply ignoring all standard construction timetables. They're building stations in weeks instead of years." Representative Water flowed from her containment pool to join them. "How are they powering these stations? Our regulations clearly state that deep space platforms can only use approved energy sources." The display zoomed in on one of the human installations. Unlike the sleek, standardized council stations, it was blocky and bristling with weapons. Power readings from it were off the charts. "They've developed some new fusion process," explained Technical Advisor Light, his glowing form dimmer than usual from worry. "It's crude, dangerous by our standards, but incredibly effective. They're using techniques that were banned centuries ago because they were too unstable." Lord Grey's form contracted in frustration. "Don't they understand? These regulations exist for a reason. We learned through countless disasters what works and what doesn't. Perhaps that's the problem." Came a new voice. Everyone turned. An ancient member of the council floated into the chamber. Known simply as the Elder, this being of pure thought had helped write the original treaties. Its presence at a regular meeting was unprecedented. "What do you mean?" asked Lord Grey. "We learn through disasters. Yes," the Elder's mental voice echoed softly. "But we learned 10,000 years ago. The humans are learning now, making their own mistakes, finding their own solutions." Stone moved forward. "But our way is proven. 10,000 years of peace has made us rigid," the Elder interrupted. "Look at these readings again. Their weapon systems are more powerful than ours, yes. But notice the backup systems. The redundancies, the ability to function even when half the station is destroyed." The council members studied the hologram. The human station was ugly compared to their elegant designs, but as they looked closer, they saw what the Elder meant. Every critical system had 3 or 4 backups. Power could be rerouted a dozen different ways. Even if the main reactor exploded, smaller backup units would keep weapons and shields running. They designed everything expecting it to be attacked, Water observed, to be damaged, to fail. "Yes," said the Elder, "because that is their history. While we spent 10,000 years in peace, they spent 10,000 years surviving. Wars, disasters, their own aggressive development." Lord Grey's color shifted to a thoughtful blue. "That's why they ignore our power regulations, our safety protocols." "Exactly," the Elder replied. "To them, a safety protocol that shuts down weapons to prevent overload is not safe at all. They would rather risk an overload than be defenseless." The chamber fell silent as the council members considered this. On the display, another human station flickered to life, its weapons already charged and ready, violating 3 different council regulations in its first minute of operation. "We must do something," Stone insisted. "At this rate, they'll have enough firepower to challenge the entire council within a decade." "Perhaps," suggested Representative Water, "we should show them the consequences of ignoring council authority. A trade embargo." "No," the Elder's voice was firm. "Look at their history. Every time humanity faced pressure, they didn't submit. They adapted. They found new ways forward. An embargo wouldn't stop them. It would only prove to them that they need to be even more self-sufficient." "Then what do we do?" Lord Grey asked, his glow pulsing with concern. The elder moved closer to the hologram, studying the busy construction ships around each human station. For the first time in 10,000 years, my friends, we must consider the possibility that we are the ones who need to adapt. 3 Council trade ships hung in space near the Jupiter Gateway, their sleek forms blocking the main trade route to Earth. Behind them, a dozen more ships created a barrier that no normal vessel could cross. The Council had finally decided to force humanity to comply through an economic blockade. Captain Bill Foster of the Earth trade ship Star Runner looked at the blockade through his main viewport and smiled. "They'd really think this will work?" he asked his navigator, Jack Thompson. "Have they even read our history books?" Thompson grinned back. Apparently, they never heard about the Berlin airlift, or how we got supplies through the Atlantic blockades. The Star Runner wasn't alone. 20 other Earth ships waited nearby, all civilian vessels modified well beyond Council standards. None of them were warships. Ambassador Reed had been very clear about not starting a fight, but these ships had some surprises of their own. "All ships, this is Captain Foster," he broadcast to the Earth fleet. "Begin Operation Workaround, just like we practiced." The Council ships watched in confusion as the Earth vessels suddenly split into 3 groups. Instead of trying to break through the blockade, they turned toward the dense asteroid field that everyone knew was too dangerous for space travel. On the Council command ship, Captain First Light's energy form flickered with concern. "They're not really going in there, are they? Our sensors can barely function in that chaos. Humans wouldn't risk their ships in." His voice trailed off as the Earth vessels disappeared into the field. "Track them. Now." But tracking 20 ships through a dense asteroid field was impossible, especially ships that didn't want to be found. The Council vessels could only watch their sensors show confused, scattered readings. 3 hours later, Admiral Wilson received an urgent message on the Defiant. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Roberts, "Captain Foster reports Operation Workaround is a complete success. All ships made it through. They're already establishing the new trade route." Wilson nodded, unsurprised. "Send word to our other trading partners. The Jupiter Gap is no longer necessary for reaching Earth markets." On the Council command ship, Captain First Light was trying to explain to his superiors how 20 human ships had simply vanished. "They must have turned back," he insisted. "No one can navigate that asteroid field. Our best computers say it's impossible." "Then explain," Lord Gray's hologram demanded, "why we're getting reports of Earth trade ships arriving at 6 different ports. Ships that somehow passed right through our blockade." The answer came 3 days later, when Council analysts finally pieced together what happened. The humans hadn't tried to calculate safe paths through the asteroid field. Instead, they'd installed oversized engines and reinforced hulls on their ships. When they met an asteroid in their path, they didn't bother avoiding it. They blasted it apart with mining charges. "It's insane," Technical Advisor Light reported to the Council. "They're literally punching holes through the asteroid field, creating their own shipping lanes by destroying anything in their way." In his office, Ambassador Reed received the news with quiet satisfaction. "How many new trade routes have we opened?" he asked his aide. 3 major lanes through the asteroid field are now stable," the aide reported. "We're calling them the Berlin route, the Atlantic route, and the Silk Road, sir." Reed laughed at the historical names. "And the Council's blockade. Completely useless now, sir. Our ships are delivering goods to twice as many ports as before. Some alien traders are actually asking to use our new routes. They're shorter than the Council-approved lanes." Reed looked out his window at the Council station. In trying to force humanity to comply, they'd only proven why humans insisted on doing things their own way. "Send a message to Admiral Wilson," he said. "Tell him to start planning more alternate routes. The Council just taught us a valuable lesson. We need backup plans for our backup plans." In the asteroid field, another Earth ship fired its mining charges, clearing yet another new path through what the Council had considered an impassable barrier. Humanity hadn't just adapted to the blockade. They had turned it into an opportunity for expansion. The Elder floated in the Council's vast library, surrounded by glowing screens showing Earth's history. For 3 days, the ancient being had not moved, absorbing thousands of years of human records. What started as research into human stubbornness had become something far more profound. "My friends," the Elder called out to the waiting council members, "you need to see this." Lord Grey and the others moved closer as the Elder brought up images from Earth's past. "Look," the Elder's mental voice was filled with wonder. "Here are humans crossing oceans in wooden boats, knowing half would die. Here they are climbing the highest mountains, knowing the cold would kill many of them. Here they are launching into space in rockets that had a good chance of exploding. They sound reckless." Stone commented. "No," the Elder replied. "They were desperate to survive, to explore, to grow. Watch this." The screen showed scenes from human wars, natural disasters, and plagues. But after each catastrophe, the screen showed something else: rebuilding, innovation, advancement. Every time they faced extinction, the Elder explained, they didn't just survive. They came back stronger. Look at their response to the climate crisis 200 years ago. The screen showed Earth's cities drowning under rising seas. Then they showed massive floating cities being built, underground farms, weather control stations. When their planet tried to kill them, the Elder continued, they didn't give up. They didn't ask for help. They changed their entire civilization. They mastered their planet's climate itself. Representative Water moved closer to the screens, but surely after achieving such control, they relaxed. No, the Elder switched to images of Earth's defense platforms. They learned that survival requires constant preparation. Every crisis taught them this lesson again and again. The screens changed to show the first contact attack on New Delhi. The council members watched uncomfortably as their own response proved too slow, too bureaucratic to save human lives. "This," the Elder said softly, "is why they reject our treaties, why they ignore our regulations. In all of human history, waiting for others to help has meant death. Acting on their own has meant survival." Lord Grey's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. "But surely they see that times have changed, that they're part of a larger community now. Do you know what happened after the New Delhi attack?" The Elder asked, bringing up new images. Within 1 year, humans had built more defense stations than they had in the previous decade. Within 5 years, they had weapons that could destroy the attacker's entire fleet. "That's exactly what we're worried about," Stone exclaimed. "Such rapid military growth is how they survived." The Elder interrupted. "Look at their population numbers. Every major crisis killed millions of humans. Those who survived passed on their knowledge, their determination, their innovations to the next generation." The screen showed human children in schools, learning about past disasters, training for emergencies, preparing for the unknown. "What you see as stubbornness," the Elder explained, "they see as necessary preparation. What you see as reckless, they see as essential adaptation. Every regulation we try to impose looks to them like a new way to die." Representative Water rippled thoughtfully. "Then how can we work with them?" "Perhaps," the Elder suggested, "we're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking how to make humans follow our rules, we should ask what we can learn from their experiences." The council members watched as more images of human history played across the screens. 10,000 years of surviving everything their world and the universe had thrown at them. "They don't reject our treaties out of spite or rebellion," the Elder concluded. "They reject them because deep in their species' memory, they know that survival depends on being able to adapt, to fight, to change when necessary. And after seeing their history, I wonder if perhaps they're right." The library fell silent as the council members absorbed this revelation. On the screens, Earth's latest defense platform came online, its weapons ready, its backup systems triple redundant, its very design a testament to humanity's determination to survive at any cost. Ambassador Reed walked into the council chamber expecting another argument about treaties. Instead, he found something completely different. The chamber had been rearranged. The usual formal seating was gone, replaced by a simple round table. Ambassador, Lord Grey's energy form glowed a calm blue. "Thank you for coming. We have a different kind of proposal today." Reed sat down cautiously. After months of threats and demands, this change made him suspicious. "What kind of proposal?" The elder floated forward. "One where we ask for your help, instead of demanding your compliance." Reed raised his eyebrows. This was new. "Last week," Lord Grey explained, "our long-range sensors detected something disturbing. He activated a hologram showing a dark region of space far beyond Council territory. We're picking up signals. Ships. Lots of them. Unlike anything we've seen before." "Unknown aliens?" Reed asked, leaning forward. "Yes," the elder replied, "and are not responding to any communication attempts. Our analysis suggests they're moving in attack formation." Reed understood immediately. "And your defense systems are designed for peace." Stone finished, his crystalline form shifting uncomfortably. "For 10,000 years, we've focused on preventing conflicts between member species. We never seriously prepared for an outside threat." Representative Water flowed closer to the table. "We've watched how humans build defenses, how you prepare for attacks, how you think about survival. We need that knowledge." Reed sat back, studying each council member's face. "You want our help defending against these aliens." "More than that," Lord Grey said. "We want to learn from you. Your defensive innovations, your backup systems, your way of thinking about survival." The elder brought up new holograms showing human defense platforms. "Your designs violate our regulations because they're built to survive attacks we never considered possible. Your ships break our rules because they're prepared for disasters we forgot could happen. 10,000 years of peace," Stone added, "has made us vulnerable. We enforce rules that worked for a peaceful galaxy, but the galaxy may not be peaceful much longer." Reed thought about humanity's history, about all the times they'd faced extinction and survived. "What exactly are you proposing?" Lord Grey's form brightened. "A new kind of agreement. Not one where you submit to our rules, but one where you help us learn to survive. Where you teach us what 10,000 years of peace made us forget." "And in return?" Reed asked. "In return," the elder said, "you get what you've always wanted. True independence. The right to build your defenses your way. And access to our technology to make those defenses even stronger." Reed tapped his fingers on the table, thinking. "You understand this would mean major changes. Your entire defense network would need to be rebuilt. Your emergency protocols rewritten. Your fleet tactics completely changed." "Yes," Lord Grey agreed. "And who better to help us than the species that survived everything their world and the universe could throw at them?" "There's more," the elder added. "Those unknown ships. They'll reach Council space in approximately 5 years. We'd like humanity to take the lead in preparing our defenses." Reed stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. For the first time, the Council wasn't trying to force humanity to follow their rules. Instead, they were admitting that maybe, just maybe, humanity's paranoid approach to survival had been right all along. He turned back to the Council. "I'll need to discuss this with Earth's leadership, but speaking personally," he smiled, "I think we might finally have the basis for a treaty we can actually sign." As Reed left the chamber, he heard the elder say quietly to the others, "Sometimes the best teachers are those who learn their lessons the hard way." In deep space, the unknown ships continued their approach, unaware that their arrival would forge an alliance they never expected, between an ancient peaceful civilization, finally learning to defend itself, and a young species that had never forgotten how to survive. Admiral Wilson stood on the bridge of the Defiant, but this time he wasn't alone. Next to him stood Lord Grey, while Captain Firstlight and several other council representatives watched from nearby stations. "Impressive," Lord Grey said, observing the crew running combat drills. "Your people operate as if they expect an attack at any moment." "Because we do," Wilson replied simply. "That's the first lesson humanity had to teach you. Always be ready." The past 6 months had transformed the galaxy. After Earth accepted the Council's proposal, things had changed faster than anyone expected. Human engineers were rebuilding the Council's defense networks. Earth's military advisors were training alien crews. And for the first time, humanity's paranoid approach to survival was seen as wisdom rather than madness. "Battle stations," Wilson called out suddenly. The Council members jumped in surprise, but the human crew moved instantly to their positions. "Just a drill," Wilson explained with a slight smile. "But we never announced them in advance. The enemy won't give us a warning, so we don't give warnings in practice." On the main screen, a simulation showed enemy ships appearing without warning. The crew responded immediately, shields rising, weapons charging, backup systems activating automatically. 3 seconds, Lord Grey noted. From peace to full battle readiness in 3 seconds. "Still too slow," Wilson said. "We're working on getting it down to 2. In the Council's main shipyard, similar changes were taking place. Ambassador Reed walked through the facility with the Elder, watching as human engineers helped rebuild Council ships. "Extra armor here," a human engineer explained to his alien counterpart, pointing to a critical section. "And backup shield generators here, and here. If the main generator fails, you've got 3 backups ready to go." "But the power requirements," the alien engineer started to object. "Will be met by the new fusion cores," the human finished. "Yes, they're less stable than your old ones. Yes, they might explode if hit. That's why we're adding blast shielding and automated damage control systems." Reed smiled as they passed. 6 months ago, such modifications would have violated a dozen Council regulations. Now they were becoming the new standard. "Your people have changed us," the Elder observed. "In 10,000 years, we never thought we'd need such defenses." "We just hope you never do need them," Reed replied. "But if those unknown ships are hostile, we'll be ready," the Elder finished. "Thanks to humanity's lessons." In the Council chamber, the final draft of the new treaty was taking shape. It wasn't like any treaty the Council had written before. Instead of restrictions and regulations, it contained procedures for joint defense, technology sharing, and emergency responses. "Look at these readings," Technical Advisor Light reported excitedly. "The new human-modified defense platforms are showing power levels we thought were impossible. And the backup systems are making some of us nervous," Stone interrupted. "Good," said Lord Grey. "We should be a little nervous, a little worried. It keeps us alert. That's another lesson we learned from humans. On Earth, the changes were visible too. Council technology, combined with human innovation, had led to breakthrough after breakthrough. New ships were being built that combined Council elegance with human durability. Defense platforms now had both races' best features, Council precision and human redundancy. Admiral Wilson ended the battle drill and turned to his alien guests. "Questions?" "Just one," Lord Grey said. "Do you think we'll be ready when those unknown ships arrive?" Wilson looked at his crew, at the mixed human and alien officers working together, at the screen showing the new combined defense network spreading across the galaxy. "I think," he said carefully, "that we're better prepared than either of us would have been alone. Humanity learned to survive through struggle. You learned to thrive through peace. Now we're learning from each other." He turned to face the Council members, his expression serious but hopeful. And that might just be the greatest defense of all. Across the galaxy, the unknown ships continued their approach. But they would find something very different from what they expected. Not a peaceful Council unable to defend itself, not an isolated humanity fighting alone, but a united galaxy that had learned to combine wisdom with strength, peace with preparedness, and 10,000 years of tradition with humanity's will to survive.